guys, welcome to my channel. So today is going to be about that Melani and Ian interview. So it's going to kind of be just a summary and analysis kind of thing, my thoughts as I go through it and point out some things. So the reporter starts off by asking about Alex's death, okay? So for those of you guys who haven't seen Melani and Ian's interview, I posted the first part in my community tab, and then once you go to the first part, you'll be able to go to the next parts. I think, yeah, there's 3 parts, so it's pretty interesting, I feel like there's a lot you could tell by this interview, by more so what they're not saying, their reactions. Ian is, just watch it. So the first time I watched it, I watched Melani, basically. I looked at Melani, or whoever was talking, but then I decided, I want to watch it and just look at Ian and see his reactions as Melani's answering some of the questions. And I recommend you doing that. It's pretty interesting. So it starts off with the reporter asking about Alex's death. And he asked if they were surprised at all about the autopsy results. And Melani said it was actually relieving, but they weren't surprised because they knew it was natural causes. Melani had kind of already guessed that it was a pulmonary embolism because the blood clots run in the family, and somebody else mentioned it, that they thought that that's what it was a pulmonary embolism. So they were kind of figuring that. So she said she wasn't surprised, basically. She said it was kind of like a comfort. Like, finally this part's over. Finally people will see that it was just natural causes and they'll stop all this speculation. She said it's one more stepping stone to keep revealing the truth. And then she said the second half of the day, they opened it up again and now it's under investigation again. She said every time they get a little good news, there's a little bit of drag. But she said overall, it was just a relief and comfort to be in the right direction. So the reporter asked Melani what she says to the people that still don't believe the results, or say there's something more here. What do you say to them? She said, well, you post truth out there, but people have already made up their minds and decided, so basically they're not going to believe the truth anyway. But like for my autopsy result video, it's hard to believe that it was natural causes, just because it was the date that it landed on and just everything else. You have to take into consideration everything else. So, I mean, it could have been natural causes. It could just be a pulmonary embolism. But I had Googled and looked up because I was just curious, well, could something else cause the pulmonary embolism? And there's quite a few poisons that said they could cause. Cyanide is one of the poisons. There's carbon monoxide. I'm going to do a video on some of the poisons that could cause a PE. But just the 2 that I remember off the bat are cyanide, which that's highly likely. I feel like that's a possibility. Cyanide, because of the foaming and so there's just too many other things that are saying yes, there's some foul play here. Just because it appears that it's a pulmonary, well, it is a pulmonary embolism. He died from a pulmonary embolism. But then it made me think, well, can something cause a pulmonary embolism that somebody causes, like a poison? Can somebody poison or give something to the person that would cause the pulmonary embolism on purpose? And I Googled it real quick that day I was making the video, and I found a couple poisons that actually could cause a pulmonary embolism. And there's more. I have to research it more. I'm going to possibly do a video just on that, on the different things that could cause a pulmonary embolism, well, the different poisons and stuff. It's just there's too many other things that make you think that it's just not natural causes, because first of all, the day after Tammy's body was exhumed, after everything happened like that and all the deaths, I mean, yes, it could happen, it could, but it also could be something else. Just because it's showing pulmonary embolism doesn't mean that something else didn't cause it, but it could be. Like I said, I'll do a video and we'll kind of go through it, and maybe it was just one heck of a coincidence. You never know. But anyway, so she's saying there are some people that even if you post the results, that they're still going to say there's something more to it. So the reporter says, well, what do you say to them? She said, well, you post truth out there, but people already have their minds made up and decided. And she said that Ian made a bad joke. Well, did they test for all the invisible poisons? But if you think about it, maybe it wasn't a bad joke. Maybe Ian was kind of meant, there was some truth to that for him saying that. Maybe Melanie just kind of assumed it was a joke, but Ian maybe wanted her to think it was a joke, but he was kind of being for real because, because I feel like that he has some doubts because there's some things that happen here in this interview where he has to, well, he knows that she's lying because what he had said in those, well, we'll get to this, so make sure you watch till the end. The end, I kind of compare what Ian had said in those documents to the FBI and what Melanie is saying, and they contradict each other. So we'll get to that in the end. And also, I'm going to link in the description my video I did where I read out the whole documents of Ian's documents. I read out all the messages from Natalie to Brandon to Brandon's friend, Natalie to Ian. So all about this situation with the communication about just about what they're asking Melanie about a lot, and that's what he's asking Melanie about the beliefs and how Melanie's basically lying. So I think that video would be interesting. If you guys haven't seen it, I'll put a link in the description so you guys can watch that one. It's an interesting one. It's the one with all the zombie stuff and all the stuff that Ian had told the FBI about their beliefs that Melanie told him. And you could kind of compare and see how Melanie is lying. And so Ian's sitting there, he sits there and stares at her the whole time. He's just looking at her. And since obviously it's a lie, because unless if Ian was lying on those documents, but I tend to believe what Ian said to the FBI was probably more the truth, because he was like freaked out and scared, and he just didn't know what to do. He was just trying to basically protect himself. So I believe what he said to the FBI was more the truth than what Melanie's saying. So he's sitting there watching her, so he knows that she's lying, obviously, because she's saying something that is basically a lie compared to what he said to the FBI and in the police in those documents. So I kind of go through a quick version of that at the end. Okay, so back to the interview. So Melanie says people will still speculate whatever they want to believe, even if it's right there in front of their faces. But the only thing that's right there in front of our faces is that it was a pulmonary embolism. So some people want to look into it a little bit further and see, well, what can cause the pulmonary embolism? Maybe there's other things that can. So Melanie says when Tylee and JJ show up and they're here again, I don't even know if people will believe it. That's what Melanie said. Like once they show up and they're here again, people aren't even going to believe it. And they're going to be basically right there in front of people's faces. And they would still go on with saying it's still a cult and they still did something bad. Well, yeah, just because the kids are safe, it doesn't mean that it's not a cult. Having them safe doesn't mean that it being a cult can't be true. That's two different things. So, yeah, they could still say that. And, yeah, I still think whether the kids are safe or not, it's still bad what Lori did. Yeah, it's still bad. I will still think that. But I'll be happy that the kids are safe. And so she says, we just want to come and share what we do know. Share truth. Okay, so you see Melanie says she wants the truth out there. That's why she's doing this interview. But you will see throughout the interview, she isn't able to answer anything. She doesn't know where the kids are. She can't speak to Lori because Lori's in jail. She hasn't talked to Lori since December. She can't say anything about Chad and Lori's beliefs, yet we're supposed to believe that she knows for sure that Lori wouldn't hurt the kids and that she is a wonderful mom. So the reporter said, did you think Alex's death was a coincidence, or in the back of your head did you have doubts? And later on, when I show you some of the stuff Ian said in those documents, you'll see that she did have doubts. But she's saying here that she didn't. She said that she was in shock when Zulema told her. She said she had spoken earlier that day and he seemed okay. But she knew that week before he was having trouble breathing. She said he was a healthy guy, but he wouldn't go to regular doctor checkups. He was a tough guy. She said they were going to meet up at one point because she was going to bring him some of his stuff because he moved down to Arizona to be with Zulema. But then he ended up saying, hey, let's not meet up halfway. He said, let's just wait because I'm not feeling very good. Can we wait till I feel better? And Melanie said that was pretty big for him to say that because Alex never says he isn't feeling good. He's like Mr. Tough Guy, so he'll never admit if he's not feeling good. So the fact that he was saying that was pretty big, Melanie said. So the week before, I guess he told Melanie he was having tightness in his chest. He was having trouble breathing. He said he had bent down to get a bottle of water and it took the breath out of him. So Melanie said she was worried and told Alex, you need to get to the doctor. And Alex said, no, I'm fine. Melanie said Alex was like her best friend. She would talk to him about everything. She said the last thing he said to her is they were having this talk and he said, the most important thing in your marriage is to be loving, to be supportive, and to be patient. And I guess he kept repeating that to Melanie. And so Melanie actually wrote that down. And she said that was actually the last thing that Alex had ever said to her before he died. So, I guess he also said everything was going to be fine. Because Melanie was telling him about the trouble in the marriage. She said he just kept repeating it, so she just felt it was important, so she wrote it down. She said she wasn't that close to Alex in the past, though. She said she was more close to her aunt and her uncle Adam. But she became closer with Alex when she started to have challenges in her last marriage. She said Alex was a truck driver, so you could call him any time of the day, any time of the night. He would always answer because he was always driving at all hours on the road, so he would always pick up the phone and answer at any time. So she ended up becoming close to him because of the issues in her marriage. She would call him and he would help her. So, and she also said that nobody could do any wrong in his eyes. He never put anyone down. She said he always basically just said, okay, so here's how you could handle the situation. And he was always so positive, I guess. She said that Zulema hasn't really been able to mourn or grieve the loss of her husband, but why not? She hasn't been in the public. I mean, she's been basically to herself and not bothered, so why hasn't she been able to grieve? I don't understand that. It's not like she's been, like, in front of everybody. I mean, she's been keeping to herself, not doing interviews, not being, like, on social media, not being out there. So I didn't understand that. Why isn't she able to grieve? It doesn't make sense to me. Is she saying because of all this stuff that's surrounding the case and stuff? Maybe. I guess Zulema's not ready to come forward and share her story. And she's still trying to get through every day missing her husband. But for some reason, I just don't think her and her husband were that close. I mean, they only were dating for 2 months, it says. That's what Melanie said. I think she said a couple months. And then when that minister that married him said it was like business-like. Like there was no emotion. It was just like they were almost doing it like a business deal. He said he didn't feel no love or any emotion. I just don't buy that they were like in love. I feel like it was their marriage was for another purpose, and I'm not sure what it was, but I just don't believe it was because they were in love or anything. I don't know. I don't know why. I'm just having trouble believing that. So Melanie's trying to put it off like, oh, she's trying to grieve and she's trying to get through every day missing her husband. Like, I don't know. I don't buy that. She said that Melanie and Ian got married very fast, and Max and Lily actually were at their wedding, that's Ian's kids. And she said Alex and Zulema were dating for months, and Alex was so ready to marry Zulema, but Zulema said, I'm going to wait till I get an answer, like from God. She was waiting to, she thought she would get some kind of answer from God or something that it was the right time to marry him. But I guess she told him, I know I'm supposed to be with you, Alex, but I'm going to wait till the right time. So they did pick the date and had it more planned than Ian and Melanie had. But if they had it so planned and picked the date, why didn't they have a witness? They had to have the person that works at the chapel to be the witness. So if they planned this, why wouldn't they have had a witness there? And if Melanie and Ian were going the next day to get married, why didn't they just have them come down the day before and be there for their wedding? That's why something just doesn't make sense. Or just wait the next day, or wait the day till Melanie and Ian could be there and witness for them. They obviously knew they were going to be there. They'd go to the same chapel. They knew if Melanie was like best friends with Alex, talking to him every time, I'm sure she knew that he was getting married that day, and she was close with Zulema, so I'm sure she knew they were getting married. Either wait to the day after to get married, or the day before to get married, or whenever they could make it work. They were both going to be in Vegas around the same time. just doesn't make sense. I mean, if they were planning it, wouldn't Alex and Zulema want somebody there with them? I mean, if it was like because they're in love and they planned it, and, oh, that's my soulmate, and you think, well, Melanie and Ian are going to be up here. Oh, they can't make it till the 30th. Okay, let's wait till the 30th, but that's their wedding. Okay, we'll make it the 31st, or just right after them, or I don't know. I mean, it's one day. I just think that they could have somehow made that work where Ian and Melanie could have been there for Alex and Zulema if it really was like a legit marriage where it was because they loved each other. Something doesn't sit right with me about that wedding, and I'm sorry. And Melanie said it was just a coincidence that they picked the day right after them. But you're going to tell me that your best friend that you talk to every day, that you didn't know the date that they were going to be there getting married? So you just forgot the date and then happened to, oh, let's pick this date. It happened to be, you didn't remember that was the day Alex was getting married? Something just doesn't make sense there. Do you see what I'm saying? For Melanie, oh, it was just a coincidence, but you're going on this whole interview how you and Alex are like best friends and you talk every day. So don't tell me that you didn't know when he was getting married. If it was a legit marriage and it was because it was something special and they loved each other, you would have known that date. You talk every day. I could see if it was just because it was something for some kind of other purpose that maybe you wouldn't know. But I still think you would know either way. It's just weird. And I noticed, this is one of the times I noticed Ian, look at Ian's reaction when she says that, because Ian is just looking at her when she says that, and then Melanie turns to him and almost to like check his reaction. Like if he was making sure his reaction was kind of going along with what she was saying, because I'm thinking because it's a lie. And Ian was there, he knows it was a lie. Something that she's saying about that is just a lie, I feel. And I feel like just watch him. He's like looking at her, and she turns, and after she says that, to look to make sure, what his reaction is, and then he's kind of going along with it. You know what I'm saying when that happens sometimes?
They had talked about, do you want to get married in Jackson or Las Vegas, and it just so happened when they picked their date and had it more planned than Ian and I did, and the coincidence of us picking the day right after them wasn't planned or anything. It was just what happened, and they were there, and we had made the decision in Arizona during Thanksgiving, and we said, let's do it. And while we're there, we need a witness, and Alex and Zulema are there. And
I think that there's some kind of lie in there. She's not being honest, that it was a coincidence or that something is not right there. So, and then you see her look at him and for kind of like, are you going along with it? Just let me know what you guys think at that part. So Melanie said they decided on Thanksgiving to get married. And they said, well, Alex will be there. He could be our witness. So yeah, so she did know that they were going to be there. So wait, in the sentence before you just said it was a coincidence that you picked the day right after them. But in the next sentence you're saying that, oh yeah, Alex will be there. They could be our witness. So how's that a coincidence if you realize that Alex was there? Am I looking too much into this, or it seems hard to be able to be a coincidence when she knows that they're going to be there that date and get married. And then the reporter says, oh, so they got married the day before you guys did. And Melanie says, yes, I believe so. What do you mean you believe so? You know that they got married the day before you. Like, well, you're acting like, oh, yeah, I believe so. Like you just said that you said, oh, well, Alex will be there. He could be our witness. So the reporter then goes to ask Melanie about her mom. And Melanie tells him that how her mom got really sick having her and almost died. She had a deep vein thrombosis, blood clot. The Cox side doesn't have really good genes, Melanie said. She said her mom got really sick with type 1 diabetes and gastroparesis. Am I saying that wrong? Gastroparesis? I don't know. Maybe I'm saying that wrong, but she didn't have the ability to absorb nutrients. So she was in and out of the hospital, she said. And Melanie said that she thinks it was probably really hard on her dad. There was some infidelity on his part, she says. And she said they tried to work through things, they just couldn't make it work. She said she spent a lot of times in the Cox home with Barry and Janice. because her dad traveled a lot for work, I guess. But then her mom thought she was healthy enough, so they moved to Seattle because her dad got a job in Seattle. So basically it was just Melani, her mom, and her dad in Seattle. Her mom couldn't have any more kids, unfortunately. So Melani said when she was 6, her dad basically told her mom they were going to go out and get some gas, and he took her and never came home. He took all of her mom's credit cards, he turned off the power, he took her planner, and he just left her there. And she was really sick and couldn't take care of herself, I guess. Melanie said her and her dad hid out in hotels for months, and then a nasty custody battle started. So Melanie's dad cut off all communications with the Coxes. So any of the Coxes, he just didn't let Melanie basically communicate with any of the Coxes. So it makes you wonder why he cut off all communication with the whole family. I mean, now that we're seeing how crazy this family is, I'm sure that's what it was. He probably knows some inside details. I'm sure. I mean, he was right in the middle of it. I mean, he was married to one. He probably saw a lot. And it can't be a coincidence that all this crazy stuff's going on with them and there's all these crazy situations. And then even in the past, he cuts her off because he don't let them talk to her. He doesn't basically let Melanie talk to them. Probably because of the craziness. He probably saw how crazy. There's probably other crazy things going on. Her parents were crazy, refusing to pay taxes and who knows what else. I'm sure there's so many stories. I just bet you there's a reason for it. And Melanie's making it seem like her dad was making up stuff and he did it because he was being mean or something. But I feel like there was a reason. It was probably because he saw some things and he didn't like what he saw and he didn't want Melanie to be around that stuff. I would like to maybe talk to her dad and ask him some questions. I'm sure we could do a live with him and have a lot of questions for him. Because I feel like he'd be able to tell us a lot about that family. I just have a feeling if we only knew. If we only knew. So I guess Lori's the one who called Melanie and told her about her mom passing away. Melanie was 9. I guess her mom was in a diabetic coma and she never woke up. After that, from 9 to 15, she didn't have any contact with the Coxes. But when she was 15, she ended up finding her Uncle Adam by Googling him. She found him because the radio station he was working at. I guess all those years, her dad would throw away packages from all the Coxes, supposedly. That's what the Coxes, I'm sure, were telling Melanie. Oh, we were sending you packages and sending you this, and the fact that Melanie never got them, she assumed, well, her dad threw them away. But I'm kind of confused because she said that Janice and Barry raised her after her mom passed. But we know right before that, she just got done saying that right after her mom died that her dad wouldn't let her talk to any of the Coxes. So from 9 to 15, she had no communications with the Coxes. So how, I don't understand her saying that the Coxes raised her after her mom died when she had no contact with him 9 to 15 years old. That's what she just said. So what is she even talking about? So anyway, she went on to say that she wasn't super close with Alex growing up because she never got his jokes. She actually just became close with him the last few years. And then she says that up until 3 years ago that she didn't know her dad had been telling everyone this other side that her mom had died of anorexia and that she's mentally ill. But what I don't understand is she was saying that basically her dad was telling them all that, so he was telling the Coxes and all that. Who is she saying that her dad was telling that to? That she just found out 3 years ago? I don't know, maybe she was talking about somebody else he was telling that to. It almost sounded like she was saying how it was like she was talking about like her family, and that she just found out, oh, he's been telling her family that, but they would know because they were with her when she died. They would have her records and stuff. So was Melanie saying up until 3 years ago that she thought her mom died of anorexia and had a mental disorder? I mean, was she one of the, basically, is she saying that she just found out 3 years ago that it was a lie? I'm a little confused at that. If she was meaning that she thought that too, then she just found out like recently or 3 years ago that her mom actually didn't have anorexia? Or did she know for a while and she's talking about other people? I don't know. If I was an interview, I'd be asking all these Probably too many questions, though. I guess not, because you only have so much time and you want to get certain questions. So she goes on to say that she's upset that everyone in the world thought that she died of anorexia, but she says she has all the medical records to show that that isn't true. So, but yeah, like I just said, the Cox, that whole family would know that if it wasn't anorexia, they would know because they were the ones with her. They would have her medical records for sure. Her dad wasn't even with her mom at the time, so her dad wouldn't. I mean, the Cox would know better than her dad. If it wasn't true, he wouldn't be able to tell them that, and they would believe him because they would have those records. So I'm not sure what she's talking about. So I guess she said her dad is helping her ex-husband right now. And she talks about how the same thing is happening with her that happened with her mom, as far as their kids getting taken away from them by their dad and told bad things about their mother. But it just kind of makes you wonder, maybe is there some truths, in the genes? You going to get passed down the craziness, and maybe it's because her mom had some mental issues that were crazy and her dad didn't think that Melanie should be around it, and now Brandon don't think her kids should be around her because he doesn't, I don't think he feels like that they're safe with her. Because it makes you wonder if she did end up getting the kids, because she tried to basically steal them, if she would have got them one of those nights, would she have taken them to the same place Tylee and JJ are? If Tylee and JJ are actually somewhere hiding out, or even if something else happened to them, would they do the same things to her kids then, basically? Why was she trying to get them? It makes you wonder. If I was Brandon, I wouldn't take a chance. But yeah, like I was saying, don't you think maybe it makes more sense that it's true? Maybe it's true, as far as she's saying that the same thing is happening to me that happened to my mom. The father's taking the kids away, saying bad things about their mother, saying they have a mental disorder. But like I said, maybe it makes more sense that is true, because mental disorders are genetic to a degree, plus environmental factors. So if her mom had some kind of mental disorder, and environmentally, not only biologically, she's more vulnerable, more prone to getting that or having a mental disorder, but even environmentally, going through these situations and being taken away from her mom and having to basically experience her mom. Who knows what she went through with her mom? Who knows how her mom was acting? If her mom really was kind of unstable and had some kind of mental disorder, Melanie would have been exposed to that. I think it makes her more vulnerable to getting it. The fact that Melanie had a kind of a tragic childhood would have affected her and her mental health and how she would raise her kids. So to me, it makes more sense that maybe there is some truth to this, rather than this happening coincidentally. Of course, she doesn't see it. She's just thinking, oh my God, this is happening to me, the same thing that happened to my mom. But sometimes when you're right in the middle of it, it's hard to take a step out and look at it from afar. But it's not the dad making up lies. It's not how she's perceiving it, and it being a crazy situation because it's the father. It's a crazy situation. It's because the mother's mental instability. Could be. It's possible. I'm not saying, I don't know for sure. Just throwing it out there. And then she goes on to talk about how heavy this case is and how she never thought that would be her life. And then she looks at Ian and they both laugh.
I don't judge anyone for all the things that they're scared of or confused about, because this case is heavy and it's unlike anything. I never thought this would be our lives. Like, it's unreal.
I do want to ask you,
why? Well, I mean, why is that funny? Why would you sit there and you guys look at each other? Oh, ha, 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 that's just not a funny. It's just an odd, inappropriate time to laugh. And the fact that they both looked at each other and laughed at the same time is just kind of weird. Oh, this is another thing. Then she says, we're real and open about our family. We make mistakes. What is she talking about? That is why all this is going on, because Lori hasn't been open. That is the very issue of, because Lori is not saying anything. She's not being real. She's not being open. She's not helping at all. She hasn't said one thing about the kids. She won't even open up a little bit. So what is she talking about that her family's open and real? That is the last thing that they are. I mean, that, like you said, if that was true, then this whole situation wouldn't be a situation. Because Lori would open up and tell us about what's going on. And we would know. And if her kids are safe, then we would know, and she wouldn't be in jail, and the kids would be here, and it would, you know. So no, that's a lie. So the reporter asked Melani, when was the last time that they saw JJ and Tylee? And they said that Ian had never met them, and the last time that Melani saw them is when they were packing up their belongings in Chandler, Arizona, at the same house that Charles was shot in. And so, yeah, they were packing up their belongings. They're getting ready to move to Rexburg, Idaho. So Melani goes on to say how the court system has not protected Lori at all, or the kids. And she says that Tylee and Colby were abused by their father, Joseph. But I thought it was just Colby that was abused. Even Annie, Joe's sister, said that Tylee never claimed that Joe abused her. That was one of the reasons that, well, there was more than that, I guess, because Colby was being inconsistent. And they did that 9-month investigation, but one of the things they find is Tylee never said that. Tylee never claimed that she was abused. Only Colby did, I guess. Right there, Melani's throwing out something that's not true. Makes you doubt all the other stuff she's saying. Because that's a lie. As far as the facts that we have is a lie. So it just makes you doubt everything. Her credibility. I mean, if you find one lie, but I feel like once we get to the end and you see the part where she basically says one thing and then you go back and see what Ian has said to the FBI, so basically one of them lied big time, and I believe that it was Melani lying on this interview, because I don't think Ian at that moment in time would have lied to the FBI just because he was scared. He was doing it out of fear almost. So not only does it looks like she's lying here, I'm pretty sure it's a lie. Like, by the facts that I have, everything I've heard, Tylee never claimed that she was abused. She said that the court system didn't protect Lori and the kids, and that Lori has this history of doing everything she can to protect Tylee and JJ. You notice her mom and sister kept saying the same thing too about Lori. Oh, she's got to protect them. She's got to protect them. She's got to protect them. It makes you wonder if Lori is constantly feeding that to them. Oh, I gotta protect him, I gotta protect him, looking like the savior, probably constantly saying that, where they think that like she's this great protector that's just constantly protecting her kids. I mean, isn't it more that, like, being a mother, there's this natural protection that you just protect your kids anyway? But it makes me think that the reason they keep saying it is because Lori would keep saying that to them. About protecting them, so they're just repeating that. They have in her head, Lori just had to protect them her whole life. And then it does make me also wonder, why do they need so much protecting? I mean, if this is true, that she has to constantly be protecting them, like, not just the normal thing a mother would do for her kids, just to, you know, have this general protection, you know, that just a mom does, but it's almost like she's making it seem like it's just she really had to protect them, like this extra stuff that was going on. So then it makes me think, well, maybe Lori should be more careful who she brings into their life if she has to constantly be protecting them. And it's this big, huge protection thing. I mean, it sounds silly saying this, but yeah, why do they need all this protecting? Who is Lori surrounding them with? What environment are they in that they constantly need to be protected like that? So maybe Lori should re-examine what kind of environment she's putting them in if she has to constantly be protecting them like that. I mean, I personally don't believe a lot of Lori's claims, but I'm just saying, if it was true about her having to constantly protect them, then it makes you wonder, why is Lori putting her kids into these situations with these people, or these bad situations that she has to constantly be protecting them?